In this video, I will be assessing all aspects of work I've created in the past up to now, in order to reflect on my own personal capabilities across various aspects of professional creative industry practice. I'm able to work as a member of a team and on my own, both in the most efficient ways possible. Personally, I prefer to work alone as I feel as though I get more work done faster when I'm able to plan it all out and assess things on my own. However, there are advantages to being in a group, such as having different perspectives, opinions, and approaches to a project or brief. My most recent example of teamwork was during the 2D animation unit, when myself and 3 other classmates had to come together to produce a presentation on the history of lyric videos, and our approach to this was splitting the task into segments and all assigning ourselves specific parts of it, and then coming together at the end to review what we did and negotiate if there are any problems with them. Another example is the digital video unit, where I worked with a friend to collaborate on a music video project in its pre-production and production stage. Despite working on our own individual video files, we both took on each other's basic ideas and became an inspiration to each other, producing great pieces of work. I would say in order to make myself more industry ready, I should work on more group-related tasks to take myself out of my comfort zone and perhaps work with people I'm not usually associated with so that I'm used to it in advance. Like I said, working individually is something I've always been used to. I started out from amateur projects, working on my own, and continue to do this, as it is where I feel most comfortable and can open up with myself without having to concern myself with what other people think. Some of my best works have come from working independently. I understand that this isn't always something that can be carried on permanently, so working in group work will always be necessary. To aid this, I began to work on a new project with some friends to get a taster of what it is like to be able to set briefs as well as respond to them. I wrote a script, made a storyboard, and then took to producing it, which was an exciting stage for me. The opinions of others matter a lot to me, perhaps too much. Whether that be teachers, family, colleagues, or even myself, feedback is always important to me and it is the key to bettering myself when I work. I understand that people's workflows are different to mine, and it is always good to see a different point of view from time to time to see how to improve from something from someone else's perspective. For example, working on my personal statement required feedback from a teacher to tell me what things to improve on. Outside of lessons, I had to gain feedback from people starring in my sketch, a parody of a popular TV show, and I asked the people in the script to comment on the lines I had written to tell me if they were feasible, sensible, and natural. I had to change a few bits, which ultimately made the production value increase and has bettered the project. I tend to try my hardest not to get myself into problems where possible, but if I do, I'm usually quite quick to get out of these. During my 3D unit in Year 12, I experienced many problems ranging through confidence, deadlines, and computer specifications. Rendering became a time-consuming issue for me, and I made a lot of quick-fire changes to my project, which meant I had to keep switching workstations. I eventually finished my product and made a project that secured a DDM grade overall for that unit. Deadlines are the ultimate key to any sort of professional standard of work, and has been something that was enforced on me from the very first day of Year 12. I often find myself with tight deadlines to follow in and out of school, from interactive digital design to working on community projects. I would usually have to do large amounts of work in short spaces of time and would thus have to plan weeks in advance each piece of separate work I would need to focus on in order to meet each deadline. I like to utilize calendars to pin out when tasks are due and how long I have to complete them. Organisation is also key. Without a solid plan, projects, briefs and tasks all fall apart. As I work online for all of my course, I have to lay out each of my Google Drive files well in order to be able to know which folders I am entering and what unit I'm working for on a given day. You'll notice that I've colour-coded these to see which ones I was working on during a term in my Year 12 folder. However, in my Year 13 folder, the units are arranged in colour order ranging in difficulty and pressing importance. Brighter colours usually mean a task is easier, and darker colours usually mean that more attention needs to be paid. In addition to this, it is visually welcoming, and a good-looking workstation is always nice. Turning up and punctuality are very important, but when I'm working and when people are working for me, it is the most important of all professional practices, because if someone isn't reliable and can't even turn up on time, how can you trust them to carry out your projects for you? As a director, I was very adamant that my actors were punctual and arrived accordingly to my scene without any misbehaviour. It is a personal annoyance of mine when this doesn't go to plan because it can jeopardise whole projects at a time. Another problem I encountered was back during the digital video unit. I had created a production, but had taken my own personal spin on the brief and appeared in my own video whilst also filming parts of it, as most of it was locked off on a tripod. This was not permitted and I had to restart my whole pre-production, planning, production and consolidation stages all over again. This wasn't much of a big issue for me as I had already helped the colleague I ultimately worked with his post-production and pre-production and whatsoever. So the final production we both created turned out to be even better than what I started with. On the subject of having to restart, during the motion graphics unit almost a year ago, I had to film my whole production twice. I had filmed the perfect set of clips except I lost the memory card that I used and had to film everything again, in the same location. The second time around my clips weren't as great, however I was still able to edit them really well and got a distinction for that unit. In order to juggle heavy workflows like these, you need an aptitude in various softwares. I have proficiency in After Effects, Premiere Pro, Maya, Microsoft and Google Suites, and Photoshop. This is all because the softwares are ones that I use on a day-to-day basis inside and outside of school, so the fact that I can easily work my way through these means I can propel through any tasks and workloads as quickly and efficiently as possible. I think as an improvement, I need to branch myself out with the rest of the Adobe suite, with programs like Illustrator, InDesign, Muse, Edge Animate and Dreamweaver to be able to suit a wide range of creative necessities for clients in order to become the perfect professional employee.